All right, so we've been taking you through this transmutation process and giving you the basic elements of it. The idea being, once again, that when you take the energy out of the process that's been continually screwing you up, and you detangle it from everything attached to it, you experience it fully consciously without trying to change it, then you transmute it, and the energy comes back as pure energy for your peace of mind, your persistence, your grounding. What else? What are some other things we threw out there? Determination, informed enthusiasm. What's that? Vision of who you're already every day more and more becoming. You got that bit? What this is doing is taking all the energy of the noise in the system, taking it out, cleaning it up, and using the energy to awaken the circuitry. Remember we talked about all the circuitry you need for all the success with women is already there in your mind, just waiting for the software to go in? Yes?
Yes.
That's what now, the next bit is doing the extractor, where we actually, now that we've got the right energy there, I want to show you how to look at these situations and learn from them, now that I've given you these various different categories. So, here's how this next piece is going to work. It works like this. I'm going to explain it. I'm going to demonstrate it with someone. Then I'm going to take you all through it. The way it works is, so you've transmuted all the energy into something that's useful. Then what you're going to do, look here before you write. I don't want anyone writing. It's not necessary to write. Come out from behind the pillar, mate. Are you enjoying this? Who's the best? You better fucking believe it. Now, check this out. What we want to do with this next piece is build a filter through which you can look at experiences, and the filter is very useful because, number one, it's filled with that transmuted energy, and number two, it includes the beliefs about learning. It includes those beliefs about learning that really empower you. So you're looking through the experience with a maximized, useful, empowering frame. You're looking at it through a set of beliefs, energy, and emotions that totally serve you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what are the components? Well, the first component is going to be those beliefs I gave you about learning. Yes? You remember them? All right. So here's what you're going to do. So once you've cleaned up the energy, once you've done the transmuter, then here's what you're going to do. First step is you're going to imagine that that cleaned up energy is surrounding you like a bubble. So imagine that the transmuted energy is surrounding you like a bubble. That's the first step. Towards the end of the seminar, we start running out of pens because I lose them and they run out of ink. What'd you guys think of Bone Jewelry Chick? She's an odd duck, isn't she? So step one, turn purified, transmuted energy into bubble surrounding you. Can you guys get some idea, whether it's vague or explicit, whether it's clear or kind of blurry, some idea of what that would look like for you? Now, I didn't say, pay attention, remember what I said about fucking up instructions? I didn't say it's got to be super vivid and you really can see it like it's real. I didn't say any of that. So leave off the expectations that get in the way. Got it? Turn the purified, transmuted energy into bubble surrounding you. Now, what often helps, you don't have to do it. This is optional. Look up here. This is optional, but try it, is to take your symbol for transmutation and stick it around the surface of the bubble, inside and outside. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not necessary. I'm serious. You don't have to do it, but it helps. So do we have that step? Do we understand is there anyone not tracking this? Do you have it, Mr. Type on the computer dude? Okay. We do have this, yes? All right. Next step, install. I don't like that word install, but install, use beliefs for learning. Let me tell you something. Twice a week, I came up with this stuff. Twice a week, I spend 20 to 30 minutes in a meditative state reinforcing all my beliefs about learning and all my beliefs about women. I do a ritual where I do that, and I also rehearse the walk-up diamond energies. I'll do a little ritual. This is not a magic and psychic influence class, but we're doing one July 7th, 7/7/2007. We're going to be doing one. We should give them a discount if they sign up for that too. But listen, I'm telling you, separate and apart from anything else, twice a week, I reinforce my beliefs about learning and my beliefs about women. And I also reinforce the walk-up diamond energies. The other thing I do is I imagine all the times when my touch drove women crazy. All the times they pleaded and went, oh my God, right? I imagine, I remember all of them to reinforce it. And then before I go out, I imagine women looking at me through their eyes going, oh my God. I imagine my energy is reaching out, and anyone who is going to get it, they get it instantly as soon as I walk in the room, whether they're consciously aware of it or not. So I do a lot of stuff. But anyway, so how would we install or use the beliefs for learning? Here's a simple way to do it. So you're sitting inside your bubble. What I do is I imagine I'm reaching out for each belief, like they're written out in letters, and I'll reach out and I'll say, I'll reach out and say, anything that comes up, anything seemingly or even actually painful that comes up is only coming up to be handled, healed, learned from, refined, transmuted as pure energy for my peace of mind, blah, 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 blah. I'll take that, the letters, and imagine that I'm putting it all throughout the bubble. You understand? That I'm making viral copies. Imagine you're making a virus, but it's a virus that serves you. You understand? You get what I'm saying? So for each belief, I'll say it out loud and imagine I'm pulling it inside that bubble with me and putting it all over the surface of the bubble. Now, guess what? It can blend into the bubble perfectly so you don't have to see it once you put it in there. You get it? Yes. So for each one of those beliefs, now look up here. There's something very clever going on, NLPers, NLP trained guys. Look here. When you want someone to change, it's not enough to give them a cognitive, usually, here's a principle for personal change work. Look up here. Especially you guys who do hypnosis or NLP or anything like that. This is a big part of how I work. Usually, it's not enough to give people a cognitive left brain understanding. Usually, it's not even enough to do a metaphor in trance to get people to really shift. If they have a lot of resources, that'll be enough. So if the person has a lot of resources, telling them a metaphor or a story or giving them a cognitive understanding will be enough to kick those in from one context to another. Do you understand what I'm saying? But if they just don't have a lot of resources, it's not going to work. So what you have to do to get a belief and make it real is you have to have them do some physical action. The physical action, for some reason, convinces the unconscious mind. You have to symbolize it. You have to take the cognitive words and turn it into some kind of symbolic representation so it gets into the right brain. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the final thing I believe you need to do is put it into the energetic informational field, which is what you're doing when you're in that altered state and putting it inside that energy. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, listen to me. If this is where your client is, and that's where your client wants to go, and they know everything to get there, you don't need to do much. But if this is where your client is, and they want to get all the way over there and they can barely walk, you need to do more than stories and hypnosis and all. You need to start doing this shit as well. Because it's true, the swish pattern will directionalize the brain. It's true, good trance work will move and shift the unconscious mind. I agree with all that. Yeah? But that may not be sufficient if they're deeply blocked energetically. That's why good body work, great body work, genius body work can help too, because it releases a lot of stuck energy. I've looked at to come up with this stuff, I've looked at different people, and they all have pieces of the puzzle. The thing is, they think their piece is both necessary and sufficient. Positive programming is necessary, but it's not sufficient by itself to bring you where you want to go. You have to get out of your own way. You understand what I'm saying? I want to give you every piece that's necessary, so together they are sufficient. Does that make sense? Because I'm not stuck in one modality, I can look around and go, oh, wait a minute, use that, use that, use that. Make sense? And I'm hoping you're seeing how all of these elements work together. How without detangling, you couldn't do the transmuting. And without the meditating, you couldn't do the detangling. And without the transmuting, you couldn't do what we're going to show you now, the extractor. Do you understand? And without the cognitive understandings about what level of change to look at, you wouldn't properly know what to change when you do the extractor. You get all that? These pieces all fit together. All right. So you install the beliefs for learning. You got that? So now you're sitting there in this bubble, surrounded by the purified energy and the beliefs for learning. And then what you're going to do is you're going to pick some of these habitual thoughts and you're going to ruminate on them. So let's say one of your habitual things is, why did Sally Jean Rochcrott dump me? Or why was I a nice guy with this girl? You understand what I'm saying? You're going to pick one of the things you're used to chewing on. That should be easy for you guys. Oh, yeah. You're going to pick some element of your story. Let's say your story is, why do I always fuck up with women? Or, God damn it, this is not fair. Whatever it is. Do you understand? Whatever it is, it could be a constant limiting belief you tell yourself. It could be an actual event, a series of events. You understand? Right? You're going to pick it. We're going to assume, first and foremost, that you've already transmuted it. All right? Now, listen to me. I'm assuming you do the first part. First, you're going to transmute it, right? Remember we did the transmuter? You know how to do that. Okay, once you've transmuted it, now we're going to do this bit. I call this the extractor. You got it? Okay, so here's what we're going to do is we're going to go through one of those situations, but this time we're going to go through it surrounded by the bubble, and the first thing you're going to do is, what did I do correctly? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to sort for, okay, what worked? What worked? So the next step is you're going to sort for what worked, what succeeded, what did you do correctly? So you're going to go through it and you're going to command your mind to extract out like you know how toast pops up out of a toaster? Yes? Yes? You're looking at me like you don't get a word of what I'm saying. Speak back to me. You ever see toast? You're going to command your mind. You're going to say, okay, what worked? What's even the smallest thing that worked? What worked? What did I do correctly? First and foremost, you're going to train your mind to sort for what worked. You understand? I don't care if there's a million things, you're going to look for the one thing you did right. So let's say you went out and you went to a place with a lot of women and you froze completely. What worked? What did you do correctly? That's right. So that's the first thing you're going to focus in on. You get it? Yes. Okay? You're going to sort for what you did right, what worked, what was good. This is really important, and especially in that middle stage where you're no longer completely stuck, but you haven't reached mastery yet. And you're getting closer and closer, but it could get very frustrating. The closer you get to the level of skill that's going to take you to where you've always wanted to be, the more frustrated you might get if you don't know how to do this. Because at last, the reward is finally so close, the pussy is so close you can smell it. You can taste it on your tongue. Sorry to be vulgar, but I have to reach them in the way I reach them. You get it? Yeah. And then when that slips away, it's one thing to get it so close you can feel the heat on your dick and lose it. That's a lot more frustrating than if you can't even talk to it. Trust me. Right? Unless you know how to do this. If you know how to do this, you can process that frustration in a matter of 3 minutes and get right back out and use every bit of what you did right. Instead of being in a situation where you beat on yourself and chew on your frustration and feed on it for weeks or months. Who's ever done it that way before? Raise your hand. Keep your hands up. Now, what if you had had this process, so within 3 minutes, you could have processed all that frustration and taken every bit of ability back out in the field with the pieces you needed to add in to make it really work. Raise your hand if you think that would have been worthwhile. And it would have cut your learning curve time at least by half. Who thinks it would have cut your learning curve at least by half? Who thinks it would have cut it at least by 1/10? It would cut it so it's 1/10 the time. 1/100th. I'm telling you, this is a fucking breakthrough. And it's also teaching you, I'm tricking you in a way, I'm teaching you emotional mastery. Because when you can handle and master frustration effectively, you're walking through the world with more power than 99% of the people, including those hot babes who won't step into an area where they don't have mastery. It breaks your cycle. The cycle so many smart guys get into is, I'm not going to take a step till I have perfection. But of course, I can't have perfection unless I take a lot of steps. So they wind up never taking a step and never having perfection. Anyone ever been in that cycle before? Keep your hands up. Look around the room. Look around the room. That's virtually everybody. Pan that fucking camera around the room, please. Mr. Sound Guy, use the other camera and pan that around the fucking room. Keep your hands up. This is virtually everybody. Now, do you think the other people who are teaching this stuff are even aware of this problem, let alone know how to address it? No. That's what, yes or no? I'm telling you, this is so powerful. When you apply this, your confidence, your raw confidence, you'll no longer be afraid because you'll know anything that happens, no matter how seemingly frustrated, you'll be able to convert it to the gold of learning so quickly. Once you start walking through the world like that, then your only problem is going to be not coming off as too powerful. Because people who live in fear will be drawn to you, but they'll be intimidated too. Like, holy shit, this is a guy with no limits. I don't know if I can keep up. Do you understand? So you may have to fake some nervousness. I'm not kidding. It will get to the point where you may have to fake some ineptitude and fake some nervousness, make up a fear, just so you seem more human. Seriously, you may have to go study some loser so you can take on some of his shyness and fucked upness so you don't scare people off.
Yeah, but you don't really want to do that, right?
You know what? I'm not kidding. You may get to the point. I'm so powerful, I blow some people away.
When you're in that level.
But you know what? What I then have to do is work on being vulnerable. The truth is, don't get into details, but Lisa could tell you, I'm actually a very deeply vulnerable person. So I have to work at having the courage to show my vulnerability, which I don't do too often. But when I do, people get, wait a minute. He's completely human, just like me. He has all the fears. So this is good stuff. You get it? So you're going to command your mind. You're going to, okay, let's extract out the one thing or two things that actually worked. You got that?
Yep.
And then you're going to say, okay, what else worked? What else did I do that really worked on any level? Now remember what the different levels are. What are the different levels? Okay, there's what you do before. There's what you do all the time. There's what you do sequentially. There's what you do recursively, returning to. There's what you do at the end, and then there's what you do afterwards. You got that? You might want to make a list and go, okay, where am I good? Where do I have stuck points for those various different stages? Does that make sense? You can also look and ask, okay, what could I have added? Here are some questions you ask when you're in this phase of doing it. What could I have added in? What could I have subtracted out? Here are the questions you ask when you're doing this. What could I have added in? What could I have subtracted out? What could I have diminished? What could I have increased? What could I have added in? What could I have subtracted out? What could I have diminished? What could I have increased? Does this make sense?
Yes.
When I talk about increasing and diminishing, what do I mean? Well, maybe you could have increased your volume. Maybe you could have increased the number of repetitions. Let's say you went out for a night and you did pretty well, but you only approached one woman. That's a case where you could have increased the repetitions of what you did. True or false?
True.
Maybe you did the initial walk-up great, but then you had to add in something to continue the conversation. That's something else you could have added in, right? You can also look at what levels have changed, okay? Is it something I could have added, subtracted, increased, or diminished, and my beliefs, my energy, my awareness, my attitude? That's one level. That's the big level. You could look at another level. Well, was it in my behavior and my actions? Then you could look at a smaller level. Was it some of the words I said? Could I have changed a word or two? Then you could look, was it something analogically? Was it something like tonality, tempo, volume, things that increase along a range, right? You understand that distinction? Or was it something that it's either there or it's not there. Like I either say this word or I don't say that word. You get what I'm saying? By making these distinctions, you can look along a whole range and ask yourself, okay, what else could I have, you understand what I'm saying? What else could I have done? What could have been added? What could have subtracted? Do you understand? You run through these things and you allow your mind to find them in a very relaxed way. You get it? So that's that step. Are we clear on that? All right, so that step would be look for what worked, and then look for what else, meaning you look for what could have been subtracted, what could have been added, what could have been diminished, what could have been increased. You look at what time frame you could have done it, meaning was it something before, something you do all the time, something you do sequentially, something you do repeatedly, something you do at the end, something you do afterwards. Are you following me? Yes. You can look and say, was it something on my level of my beliefs and my vibe? Or was it something I did on the level of my behavior and my responses? If it is my behavior and responses, is it a big level thing or just a small level change in a couple of words? Do you understand what I'm saying? Are you getting this? Are you getting the level of precision? Hold on. So I'm not just showing you how to change it. I'm giving you all sorts of sorting categories to look for. Yes, Brother Snowball, you have a question?
My apologies. I just wanted to make sure I got the correct verbiage of what you have for step number 3.
Yes. You command yourself to look and see what worked. What did I do that worked? What else worked? Search for what works. Search and sort for what works. After a while, it builds up momentum like a snowball. If you start at the top of a hill, the smallest little snowball can become an avalanche. Listen to me. In order to move a mountain, you don't have to shake the right. You don't have to shake the whole mountain to move the mountain. You just have to know where to get the avalanche started. In the same way you built up years of negative momentum, you will very quickly build up incredible positive momentum. Do you understand? Everything that happens will serve as learning and will serve as energy to motivate you in an informed, intelligent way, not a stupid way. So we're no longer ignoring what was ineffective, but we're not buying into it either. This is not positive thinking. Positive thinking ignores what's ineffective so you don't learn. But nor are we going to buy into the drama of what didn't work anymore. Do you understand? Now, if you can cease buying into the drama of what didn't work in an area of life that's been so challenging, that alchemy will begin to seep down into every level of your personality. And you will walk through the world transformed in the most important way. Now, if you don't think that this is going to make you subtly more attractive in ways that people will not be able to put your finger on that feeling of attraction. Did you get what I was doing with her? It was so blatant. She didn't get it consciously. When I said to her, and it's when you have those feelings, Taylor, I think you should be proud. You should give yourself a hand for those feelings. What am I suggesting that she go do? What? I can't hear you. What? That's right. Go exploring the fur cave. And I also said to her, and even though you may not be able to put your finger on the source of that excitement, what were you going to say? Someone had a comment about that?
Well, I was just going to say when she was holding a microphone, her hands were moving up and down the microphone.
You got to put it to your face, dude.
Okay. Well, she was holding a microphone. Her fingers were stroking the microphone.
Yeah, I
So she
noticed
just
that.
felt-
Yeah, back there, we have a comment. Do you get what before you give your comment, are you getting the implication of this? When you can take an area of your life that used to be frustrating, you not only stop telling the story, you extract every bit of negative energy, turn it into positive energy, and turn every experience that you've ever had and will have into a powerful learning. When you walk, do you think if you walk through the world like this, plus the knowledge of how women work with fractionation, plus how to capture and lead her imagination, evoke her own processes, get her visualizing you through a filter of good emotion, get her feeling the flows of energy in her body that let her know it's on right now and she better grab it. Do you think when you walk through the world being able to do all this with the noise gone so you perceive what you need to perceive and you're not pushing through anything, do you really think that your old limitations will hold you? Or do you really think you have to be good looking if you got this working? I'm serious. Does anyone still think, once they get all this working, that it's still going to be coming down to your looks? Anybody? Huh? That scandalously somewhat younger girl. She's 18. I'm 48. Right? I would say she's at least half a point higher on the look scale from me. Can I tell you a secret? All the stuff about Ross Jeffries being ugly, I don't believe that anymore. I actually think I'm fucking hot looking. Girls in the back say, yes, you are. Yes, you are. Girls in the back say, yes, you are. Yes, you are. Okay, yeah, that's like, fuck off, Paul. But I used to be ugly. Why did I used to be ugly? Because I perceived myself that way, and also a lot of pain was squeezing the ugliness to the surface. So that's what I saw. Some of you are still fucking ugly, and I can't help you there, but. All right, so.
Yeah, I got a comment.
What else? So step 4, yeah, comment.
Yeah, I love the way you did repeated embedded commands about taking it in the butt with her.
I
Those
did.
are, what are you kidding me? You
I
didn't
did.
know? I
wouldn't do
counted
that.
4 of them.
What did I say about her taking it in the butt?
I don't remember them specifically, but I'm
All
probably
I
going,
said is,
oh my
I
God.
said something like, you know, when
4
you,
times.
I said when you want to move in a new direction,
No, you-
inside of your ass, keying yourself butt. What do I want?
Yeah, oh, no, you hit 4 of them. I swear to God. I was counting them on my fingers. They were
Really?
Great. Oh, yeah, they were great.
I don't think, actually, I was not aiming towards that. I guess I just do it naturally now. All right. So then you're going to go, okay, that's what worked. And then you're going to say, well, what could I have done differently? You understand? What could I have done differently on all these various different levels and all these various different ways? So what could I have done differently on all these various different levels and all these various different ways? You know, Amy Boo, I think when we actually edit this product, we can put a list of these questions for people to look at, yes? Yes? Are you sorting through this? Are you getting it, guys? Yes. And then finally, once you see all the various things that you could have done differently, you're going to imagine it happening that way. So the last step is to imagine it happening that way, seeing the different result. You got that? So step 5, imagine it happening that way. Seeing new result. Now this is finally, this is where we start doing the positive programming. This is where you start doing your rehearsal confidence. This is finally where we start using the rehearsal confidence. Look here, if you want to, you can game it out. Actually get up and act out the thing you would have done differently. So don't just do it in your head, but you can get up, keep that bubble around you, and actually walk the way you'd walk, do the moves. Do you understand what I'm saying? So let's say you discovered the piece that you were missing is the sequence of actually how to close her when she's back at your house, what to do. And you come up with what you're going to do rather than just run it in your head. Run it in your head, but then get up and actually make the physical motions, right? Walking her over to your couch, whatever you're sitting behind her, saying what you would say, noticing what you would notice, feeling the energy in your body. Get up and rehearse it vividly. Do you understand? You can add in that step. Here's where we start doing the positive programming. Do you understand? Once we've cleared off all the stuff, recycled it, got the learning, then we can do the positive programming. Look at me. I still believe in positive programming. It's very powerful. It's very effective. But first make sure you got a good learning strategy so you're not getting in your own way. Do you understand me? Yes. And then you're done with it. Then just close it up, finish it. If you're going to do it, this is a magical thing going, hey, this work is now complete. I release any and all expectation of result. That's the extractor. Now look here. In order to do the extractor, you have to be able to, you have to know what levels to look at for change. You have to have the beliefs for learning. In order to do that, and effectively, you have to know how to do the transmuter. In order to do the transmuter, you have to know how to detangle, because if things are clumped up and detangled, you can't transmute them. In order to be able to detangle, you have to be able to calm your mind and meditate. So that's how the various different pieces fit together. And finally, once you're doing the extractor, once you've found what you're going to do differently, you have to know how to do the positive programming, the rehearsal, right? You get it? Those are the various different elements and how they weave together. Now, when you put these things together seamlessly, their power multiplies. So if you get 100 points of improvement from the meditating, and then you've got knowing how to detangle things, that's another 100 points, and then you get knowing, you know how to transmute the energy, and then you know the beliefs for learning, and then you know how to do this process, and then you get the positive programming, the rehearsal of the new stuff on all the various different levels. Not just the behavior, but the beliefs, the attitude, the energy, the intent, the various different phases. You get it? Small chunk, big chunk, analog or digital. Their power doesn't add. What does it do? So that's like 5 different modules that make it work. So 100 times 100 times 100 times 100. 100 to the 5th power is what? What is it? 100 to the 5th power is what? Let's keep it simple. Let's say it's only 10 points. What's 10 to the 5th power? Is it 100,000? So good. That's 100,000 points of personal improvement every time you do this. That mounts up. Essentially what we're doing is we're taking everything you used to do to fuck yourself up, hijacking every step, and turning it around to something that works for you. So you no longer have any excuses. Now, what the fuck do you think about that? Now, do you see how the beliefs about learning potentiate all of this? Without those beliefs about learning, it might still work. But when you consciously reinforce those beliefs about learning, I have about 8 of them, but those 4 I gave you are enough. What are the 4? Anything seemingly or actually painful that comes up is only coming up to be handled, healed, learned from, released, transmuted, transformed, refined into pure energy for my peace of mind, my grounding, my gratitude, my joy of life, independent of circumstances and conditions, my vision for who I'm every day already more and more becoming. I put in gratitude every day because my life has been extremely pressure-filled. The last 4 months, I can tell you, it has not been easy, but I'm loving it. I'm working harder than I've ever worked in my life, but I'm rising to every challenge. I really am, because about 2 months ago, I went, this is ridiculous. You're so much better than these responses you have. I had a big crying fit with Lisa about how frustrated I was. She was very good about it. And then I went, this is ridiculous. Remember who you are, asshole. Practice what you preach. So it's very challenging, very tough, but I'm using my own material, and this stuff fucking works. You guys are on the ground floor. I've never taught this all put together before. I've taught elements, but never brought it together because I was missing some of the insights, and I was missing the detangling. I got the detangling from Shinzen. He certainly didn't realize that that's what I would use it for, but see, I'm always learning. So there you have it. That's the process. You are the first people I've taught it to. You stout-hearted what? How many are you? About 25 of you? What's that? The 300. Now, do I have your promise and your pledge that you will work with this every day? Yes? And when I do this teleseminar, I really want to get you guys, and we'll do it in like 6 weeks. Follow-up. Now, how many people here really see the potential for this, particularly people who came in deeply stuck? Richard, are you seeing this? Are you seeing how this is taking apart, brick by brick, how you were constructing that self for yourself? Do you really get it? Yes, do you?
Yeah, I need to practice it.
Yeah, well, because you've been around a long time, and, you know, I created this for people like you. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Are there any questions about this before we move on? It's pretty fucking awesome, isn't it? It's a beautiful construct. Yes. Any questions? Question over here. Can we get the mic over here, Jack, to this guy? What?
What's the line you use at the end to release it?
This working is now completed. I release any and all expectation of results. He asked, what's the line at the end I used to complete it? He's already asked it, Satoshi. Now, look here, look here, look here. Danger, warning, warning, warning. Remember I said there are different ways you can fuck something up. You can fuck it up by adding in expectations that I never said you should have. You could fuck it up by leaving pieces out. You could fuck it up by adding pieces in that don't need to be there. you could fuck it up by simply not doing enough of it. So watch out for the fuck up stuff. Get rid of it. The final thing is, listen to me, you still need to get your ass out in the field. I forbid you from doing this process any more frequently than you actually get out in the field and practice these skills with women. Because without real world practice, there is no information, there is no answers, there's only interesting ideas. So unless you're out there in the field practicing, will only become another form of self-delusion. If you get out in the field and practice, and put your practice through this. So here's when you do this. As soon as you get home from sergeing, lay down, create this, and run it through your head what you did and what happened. Do you understand? You're only allowed to do this as frequently as much you actually go out in the field and practice with this stuff. Do you understand? I am not going to let you take my genius and let you use it as another excuse to feed your obsession for thought and not acting. Do you understand? He came to me for a consult. I had pity on him because he's a Jew. And I did. And he brought a huge notebook of every post I'd made since 1998. I took it away from him. I said, you can't have this anymore. It's mine. I still have it, but you're never going to get your hands on it again. By the way, you are doing better, aren't you? I can tell. Did David D. Anushold do that for you?
Well, I think the name speaks for itself.
No? Okay. You better give me a testimonial, Albert. All right. All right. Okay. Any last questions about this bit? How about a hand for this module? It's fucking amazing, isn't it? I promised you, didn't I?